What's up internet, this is Victor for PhoneArena and today we're taking a look at the Asus Transformer Pad Infinity. A gorgeous device, cream of the crop Android, the best of the Android tablet market. Let's check it out and you can see that it comes with this beautiful keyboard dock. Actually that's something that you can purchase separately. It is built in a gorgeous Zen design language, aluminum, the same thing that Asus uses in its Ultrabook lineup. It runs Android 4.0. It's been on the market for a while, so we can definitely put it in the context of Windows 8 devices that are coming soon, as well as the new iPad with its brilliant screen. How does it fare against those devices, and how does it look on its own? Let's take a look at that. Let's first take a look at the design of the tablet chassis. As you can see, it's pretty thin, it's made out of aluminum and it's relatively lightweight. It's actually lighter than the new iPad at 1.3 ounces. And on the back it's made out of this aluminum with a rippled wave effect that you can see but not really feel. It's more of a visual effect. Looks very nice. You said Asus uses the same thing on its Ultrabook lineup. On top there is a tiny strip of plastic. It holds the 8 megapixel autofocus camera with LED flash, and the mic have a single speaker, and on the bottom you see a proprietary 40-pin connector. So just one more connector at your house. That's what it requires for the tablet to dock. You see two openings for the hinge for the keyboard dock. On the front you basically have your 10.1-inch screen, which looks very pretty. It is a high-res display. On top you have a front-facing camera, and also here there is an aluminum button. That's the lock key. We have the volume rocker right here, and on the side there's a standard 3.5mm headset jack right here and a micro HDMI port, and this is a reset button that you can press if you want, and right there hidden is a micro SD card slot. So that's how the Asus Transformer Pad Infinity looks like. One thing that really makes this tablet stand out is its beautiful 10.1-inch screen. The display is 920 by 1200 pixels of resolution. That brings it very close to the iPad in terms of pixel detail, and it's extremely bright. It's actually brighter than the new iPad. By default it's at maximum level brightness. It's around 460 nits. That's relatively bright. It's not a number that will necessarily tell you a lot about the brightness, but if you enable this setting right here, it's called the IPS Plus mode. It's specifically designed for outdoor viewing. You can see the boost in brightness goes up to 700 nits, and that's the difference. You can definitely notice that it's a much appreciated addition by Asus. The display is Super IPS Plus LCD. That's how it's called. Viewing angles are pretty good. Even at extreme angles you don't lose any detail or the picture doesn't get washed out, and that's how it looks like. But the Asus Transformer Pad Infinity aims to be much more than just a tablet, and that's the reason for it. The keyboard dock, which you can purchase separately for $150, and it's a very nicely made accessory. It is also made out of aluminum. You can see it's almost as thick as the tablet itself. It's a bit lighter, so together when you dock them they kind of resemble a small notebook. And here's how we dock them together. You have this huge hinge here. You have these two openings, and you just plug it in until you hear this reassuring lock sound, and the hinge locks, and the whole docking mechanism is pretty solid. As you can see, we can just hold it for the tablet chassis, and we're not afraid that we're gonna drop it or that the bottom is gonna fall out. It just fits snugly and tightly in there. To undock it, you just pull the hinge like this, and you definitely need your two hands in order to dock and undock. You can't do it with just one. That's how you dock it. Undock. Pretty easy. The angle at which it goes is just, let's say, about 120 degrees, somewhere around that. It doesn't go down to the very bottom, and that's how it looks when it's closed. It gets pretty heavy, much like a notebook, 2.5 pounds. That's the weight with both the keyboard dock and the tablet chassis. Now let's quickly walk you through the details about this keyboard dock. As you can see on the side, you have an SD card slot, you have a USB, full-size USB port also right here. Here is the hinge. Have the 40-pin connector here. You can separately charge the dock, and it has almost the same battery as the tablet, so that's good news. Battery life almost doubles when you have it docked. You have a chiclet keyboard, very nice, not exactly full size, but very comfortable to type on. Have all the necessary buttons. On the top row, you have all the necessary Android shortcuts. You have can enable Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, the touchpad, everything you can see pretty standard, but pretty useful for Android. On the bottom, there is a slightly small touchpad, excuse me. It's a decent one. We like the feel of it. And the keys come with a very nice press. Actually, we're impressed with how quickly we got used to typing on this keyboard. Okay, and what about Android on a keyboard-equipped tablet? Let's see what it can do. As you can see right now, we have two-finger swiping. That's a gesture that's enabled on the touchpad. Unfortunately, that's the only gesture that we saw. For example, you can go into the browser, and that's a pretty useful thing to have. Like if we try and load up PhoneArena.com right here in the browser, let's go ahead and type that, PhoneArena.com. It's our website. You can check it out. We have a detailed review there, and as you can see, it fits the screen nicely. And here you go, just two-finger swipe. Pretty convenient. Unfortunately, if you want to do something like pinch to zoom on the touchpad, that's not supported yet. And we really hope that Android supports it, because it's a useful gesture. And there are some other things that we would like to see, like a three-finger support for the touchpad, four-finger. That's something we saw Apple did brilliantly on the MacBook lineup. So that's one feature that we'd like to see. Otherwise, Android is pretty well tailored to be used with a keyboard. You can go ahead and type the name of an application, just launch it after that. Search from the universal search menu for everything. It's a pretty convenient feature. You can go ahead and, go into Chrome. Loads up easily. And that's how the Android experience looks with the keyboard dock on. Now, gaming with a keyboard dock should really be a pleasure. As you can see, this tablet here features the NVIDIA Tegra 3 quad-core processor. And here we have the Riptide GP game, which is optimized to run on it. But as you can see, we can't use our keyboard because the developer hasn't enabled those options in the game yet. So we have to use the standard tilt or some other controls. But basically, we really wish we had more control over what's happening. Let's go ahead and see if we can get out of here. Here we go. So the game really plays nicely on the tablet chassis. But for the keyboard dock, we really love to see more optimization in terms of games on Google Play. The device runs on Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich with nice but little tweaks from Asus. Here is the lock screen. You can go directly into the camera app or unlock the device. And this is one of the widgets that Asus builds in. It's a weather widget. It looks really nice, very clean, not intrusive in any way. And here's the settings menu. That's another area where the company has made some tweaks to the vanilla Android interface, which we find very useful. From here you can toggle 3 different modes, a power saving mode, balanced, as you can see, performance mode, as well as toggle some connectivity options and so on. You can also, most importantly, control the brightness and select between Super IPS Plus mode for outdoor viewing, which boosts the brightness, and this traditional mode where you can just adjust the brightness, select auto brightness. We'll just keep it at IPS Plus because we really like the added luminosity of the screen. This tablet is meant to be used with the keyboard dock, so even if you don't have it, you get this widget right here that shows you the battery you have left. Very nice, very neat. You have first the tablet battery, which right now stands at 78%, and if you had a keyboard, here's where it would show the keyboard battery life. And Asus is managing battery pretty logically. First the keyboard dock battery gets drained, and only then you get to use the battery on the actual tablet. Overall, with the quad-core Tegra 3 chip, performance of Android 4.0 is pretty snappy. We'd say have the multitasking menu right here. Everything works great. We do see a bit of a stutter in some menus. Not really something that we'd be concerned about, but that's one thing that we'd like to see improved with Jelly Bean. And Jelly Bean is definitely coming for this device soon. It's been 3 months that the Asus Transformer Pad Infinity is out on the market, and it still doesn't have the Jelly Bean update. That's a normal situation for Android, and we really hope that Asus will bring the Jelly Bean update soon. The tablet comes with an 8 megapixel autofocus rear camera and 2 megapixel front-facing shooter, and the camera interface is pretty standard for Android 4.0 ice cream sandwich. That's how you switch to the front-facing camera, which is perfect for Skype video calls, for example, or just video conferencing in general. And you have the following options. You can choose the picture size, you can choose the focus mode, all pretty standard for ICS. You have different scene modes, exposure settings, as well as white balance tweaks. And when we switch to the camcorder mode, you'd see that you have the neat 1080p Full HD recording and time-lapse mode, which we really appreciate having on a device. You won't really shoot a lot of either video or stills on the tablet, but still it's a neat thing to have. And finally, we have panorama mode for capturing panorama images, of course. Overall, we're not impressed with the quality of the images. We've seen better on both tablets and smartphones in general, but since this is a tablet, it's not all that crucial. We'd say that images turned out a bit washed out, and they picked up side light, were a bit overexposed. Video was fine though. We have a smooth 30 frames per second at 1080p, and we're content with it. This device comes with ICS, and that means that in this case we prefer to use the Chrome browser instead of the stock Android one. Everything works perfectly smooth, just as you'd expect it. The device comes with Wi-Fi, which is pretty solid in places where we would catch like 2 or 3 bars. Here the Transformer Pad Infinity just had almost always full bars, and that's definitely a big plus for a device that you connect to the internet a lot with. And you can see the standard gestures. You can double tap to zoom in and out, and you can use pinch to zoom in and out in web pages. The tablet is a pretty capable device with a quad-core Tegra 3 chip, with each of the cores running at 1.6 gigahertz. That's a big clock speed, and that's possibly because here Asus used an NVIDIA chip which is called the T33, and this allows the higher clock speeds. The device also comes with 1 gigabyte of RAM, which is just enough for great performance in most games. And didn't stutter. We played Dead Trigger, more graphic intensive games. Everything worked perfectly smooth and above 30 FPS. And here is the score of the Infinity on Quadrant. It's around 4,000. This time we scored 3,992, and last time we tested it was around 4,200. So it really floats around the 4,000 mark. Nothing all that impressive nowadays, but at the time of its launch, it was a pretty good score, and it ages gracefully. The question most of you will ask when looking at any tablet actually is it any better than the new iPad? The iPad is the dominant device, and it actually created the tablet category itself and its modern understanding. So the Asus Transformer Pad Infinity, we can say for once, is a great device on its own. It's holds its own very well against the iPad. It's got a high resolution screen. It's very detailed, nice brightness, great for outdoor use. Still, it's not an e-ink display, but it's one of the best we've seen in any tablet. It's lightweight with a sturdy, nice design. Still, it doesn't have that many apps, and that's one drawback you might want to consider if you're really after the apps. And if you value the openness and the capabilities that Android provides, as well as the keyboard dock and this nice integration that we see that almost makes it a notebook replacement, the Transformer Pad Infinity is really a great choice for you. It starts at $499 for the 32 gig version. And at $499 you get a 16 gigabyte iPad. So in terms of memory, you get a slight win if you get the Transformer Pad Infinity. And one thing that we would consider if we were in the store for a notebook replacement, this is not quite there yet. It's getting there slowly and surely, but it's not there yet. And Windows 8 devices are the big player that's yet to come, and we definitely wait for that. Otherwise, we can wholeheartedly recommend the Transformer Pad Infinity. Check out PhoneArena.com for more details and an in-depth review. Thanks for watching.